First up, Arizona Cardinals. Not a whole lot to say about them.
Yeah,
I
the
mean,
Cardinals.
can we just throw them in the trash, like, just to start it? I mean, three
I was gonna
wins is
say
not a
3
lot.
wins.
That's what I'm saying. Three, they might be able to stretch out to 4 or something like that. But the thing is, they just have their biggest bright point on their team right now is Kyler Murray, and that doesn't say a whole lot.
Yeah, the Cardinals, man, definitely going into a true rebuilding. they're rebuilding, so I wouldn't expect them to win more than 3 wins.
Have the Atlanta Falcons. I'll let you take the reins on this one.
I think they'll have a great rushing attack this year. I think they'll
Without
have
a
an
doubt.
amazing,
Without a doubt.
a great rushing attack, especially with the addition of Bijan Robinson from Texas, University of Texas. Now, as far as I think, what's the QB, Desmond Ridder? I don't know what we're going to get from him when it comes to him being the leader of this new team, even though I think there's parts of the team are kind of solid. It's not top tier solid, but good enough to get a few wins. How many wins? That's the question. That's the main question. I'm going to say between 7 and 9.
I feel like our whole NFC South division can float in between there, except for the Bucs. Really, I mean, Desmond Ridder did look bad last year, but he didn't start all the games, and again was kind of put into a tough situation. Drake London, who was a rookie, Kyle Pitts, who at his second year, third year, whatever it is, they did finally found some type of identity in their run game, and then they added to it. There was some concerns during the draft whenever we watched that. We were both surprised. But at the same time, if you want to identify as a rushing attack until you can either wait for Ridder to develop or wait for there to be a time for you to go and try to grab a vet that's, ready to move on and pay some big money towards them, I don't think it's a bad idea because a good run game is still going to win you games. I think their 3-headed monster is going to be great.
I think that's going to be the best part of that team.
Probably have the best running back room in the NFL right now. I'll go 7 and 9 since this is my division. I really can see 7, but I could also see them being a team that only gets 6 if they just start getting overthrown early. Drop down a touchdown or 2 early, or 10 points early. I don't see them having the abilities to be able to come back and try to get wins. They're not going to have many come from behind victories. That's for sure. The Baltimore Ravens, Lamar Jackson, hopefully getting healthy. Talked about the Ravens a good bit in the prediction videos that we've done so far, and I kept mentioning about how they had the addition of OBJ. But, there's one guy that I just totally forgot, and I don't know how, and that's Zay Flowers, the rookie, who has been looking phenomenal during training camp. He looks like a dude that is instantly going to walk in there and be a wide receiver 1. And there's some rumors that they think he could possibly be one of the best wide receivers coming out the draft.
This could be an interesting race for first between Cincinnati and Baltimore this year. They won 10 games last year. Definitely fell short with injuries. I think if they didn't have the injuries toward the end of the stretch, they probably would have actually won that division. That's what I honestly believe.
Where do we want to put him?
If OBJ stays healthy, if Lamar stays healthy, you can argue for a 12-win season.
The Carolina Panthers, back in the NFC South Division, rookie quarterback Bryce Young. They got Miles Sanders in the trade with Philadelphia. Who's their wide receivers right now?
Thielen.
Oh, Thielen, that's right.
Terrace Marshall Jr., Shi Smith, C.J. Sanders, DJ Chark,
and Chenault.
Chenault.
You know what, man? That is actually a super underrated wide receiver core.
Bryce Young more than likely starting this season, I assume. That's what I assume with this team.
Yes.
They went 7-10 last year. They're not going 7-10 this year if he's starting. I don't believe so.
I'm with you. I don't like to give a prediction that a rookie quarterback is going to come out and win a division. It just doesn't happen that often.
I honestly think that they'll probably land third in the division. I would put them in the 4 to 6 range.
Next up, Chicago Bears are now really trying to compete for the actual division with the problems that, or not the problems, but with the change that's now happened with the Green Bay Packers. The Bears, I think, are up there with the Vikings and Lions to try and take the division. They're trying to figure out now which of those 3 teams are going to try to be dominant in this division until the inevitable happens, which is the Green Bay coming back and being good again. Because
are people really thinking that Chicago's going to go from 3-14 to 13-4?
No, but a lot of people do think they're going to get 10 wins. There's a lot of people that put them in that like over 500 range. Justin Fields talking a big talk that he wants to have a 4,000 pass season. He wants to be a better quarterback. He doesn't just want to be a mobile quarterback. He wants to be able to move the ball, pass the ball.
Me, for the Bears, I'm thinking between a 7 and 9 tier.
Yeah, I think that's fair. The Cincinnati Bengals, Joe Burrow looking like he's going to be out for at least a couple of weeks. Jamar Chase, I think, wants him to be out until week 5. What do we think about the Bengals? For the injury, I'm sitting here like Bengals should dominate the division, but you've kind of convinced me in the ways of the Ravens.
I didn't even think about the injury to Joe Burrow until we started talking about the Ravens. But also, there's injuries to defensive tackles, the running back, tight end. Like, they have some significant injuries on that offensive and defensive front.
I still think the Bengals are a good team. I mean, even if Burrow has to miss the first 3 games, obviously I'd have to go like look at their schedule and see like what those games are that he's gonna miss. I still think Burrow's a winner. He's been a winner since he started playing football. Like he's literally has never had a losing record as a starter. With y'all with the 10-13, that's kind of where I see them. But I could see them dropping to just under 10. I don't think 7, but I could see him dropping just under 10 if Burrow's injury ends up being extended longer than what it should be or what they initially think.
I can kind of agree with that.
So we'll put them at 10-13 for now. It's going to be a battle between Baltimore and Cincy. The Cleveland Browns, Deshaun Watson, finally getting a full year after missing, 11 games last year. When he came back, he didn't look very good. I can't remember if his suspension also made it to where he wasn't allowed to practice with the team. I feel like it was because he just kind of looked lost out there, and he got thrown into like the middle of winter where every game was you weren't just playing against the other team, you were playing against the elements. Can we see a drastic improvement from the Browns this year? Now Deshaun Watson is starting. Do we see them getting above that 7-9 ranking?
As far as like what analysts believe is they believe they're a 9-win team. That's what they believe. And I kind of agree with it because we still don't know what they look like at full force. We haven't seen them, like you said, with a full preseason. We haven't seen them with a full practice time. We haven't seen none of that, so we have no idea. So to me, a 7-9 is not really far fetched.
Cowboys are up. The American team. Look, I mean, we just put them at 14-7, right? The biggest issue with this team is, what is Dak? Why can't he just play consistent? Everyone gives Kirk Cousins like the biggest, most amount of like trash talking, and crap out of any quarterback in the league. But Dak is even more unreliable than what Kirk Cousins is.
Dak deserves the negative talk that he gets. He's earned it. He's earned all the bad talk. He's earned it all.
And we don't say this as a bad place either. Like we want to see that dude because when he's good, he's great. But like,
yes,
it's like there's so many times he loses the games because of him. I mean, their defense is solid. Their running back without Zeke, we'll see who fills in the shoes for him. But Pollard is a dog. CeeDee Lamb is a top, I'd say top 3 wide receiver in the league right now. You hear all that and you're like, oh man, they're at least a 12-win team, at least. And then you mentioned Dak, and you're like, well, I could see them only getting 9.
And it's bad because they won 12 last season.
Those was without Dak, though. 4?
Get out my head. Say, if Dak doesn't get injured, do they actually win that 12? So I'm saying 10.
You're saying 10? You think 10? I think 10. The Denver Broncos coming into this year under new head coach Sean Payton. Back with Russell Wilson, there's been a lot of changes that has happened in that organization.
I mean, I know a lot of us had the conversation about, is Russell washed? Now, I know one person that doesn't believe he's washed, and that's Sean Payton, because if he thought he was washed, he wouldn't be taking the job. So obviously he doesn't think he's washed. I don't think he's washed. I just don't think he's nowhere near as good as he used to be.
Oh, hell no.
I think he's still a good quarterback. But there's something when we watch those games, and of course we did a bunch of them because they had so many primetime games. When we seen a lot of those games, there was just something that was missing. And I'm not putting the blame on the coaching. I'm not putting the blame on all the other players. Just when we watched him, there was just things that he did that just didn't make sense. It's like you have a tight end wide open and no one within 10 yards, and you throw it to his feet. Like why are you hearing footsteps when no one's around you? You went 5-12 and you lost. You did worse than a team that was actually being sabotaged. I think they're going to go get about 7 or 8 wins.
And that's exactly what I was thinking. Somewhere between 10 12 at the highest. 15 is crazy, Nate. I'm not going to lie to you. 15 is crazy. But I could see 12 wins, and I could see 12 wins in the division. 10 gets them second place in a wild card. Green Bay Packers are up next. I mean, I'm just going to come out just straight disrespectful just because Cheesehead told me not to be. This is going to be the worst year in Packers history in a long time. They're going to struggle. They have two sophomore wide receivers in Watson and Dobbs. They got another rookie, I believe. They still have their running backs with Aaron Jones, which there was thoughts that they might lose him throughout the offseason, but they were able to maintain him. Their defense is still decent, but it's again on Jordan Love's shoulder, and I don't know if Jordan Love is ready to take on the weight of the Green Bay Packers.
No disrespect, but I mean, I'm not gonna say they're not gonna be like garbage. They're not gonna be worse than our bottom two teams we have right now. So I still think they're gonna be middle of the road. They're gonna be middle of the road.
You think middle of the road? You think 7-9?
Because I'm thinking 6 or 7, but I don't think they're gonna be 4 to 6.
Bro, I ain't gonna lie to you. I got them 4 to 6. I see 9 as impossible for them.
Yeah, I don't think they get 9.
And I see 4 as impossible, but I see that range between 5 to 8 very possible, just depending on what happens. Texans, like the Colts, are restarting. What do we think of the Texans now with another head coach and now with new quarterback C.J. Stroud?
We know that they know that they threw games to lose on purpose for the last couple seasons, and it might have been to get C.J. Stroud. Who knows? I have no idea, but maybe that's what it was. And if that's what it is, then maybe this season will be slightly different than the previous. Actually play to win.
Yeah, I would sure hope so. You go and grab a first-round pick, a second pick overall, and grab a quarterback, and if you start throwing games on purpose, you might as well have just sent that dude to go work at Walmart or some shit like that, because you're basically just changing his whole mentality of like, I want to win games to, hey, we're going to lose on purpose so we can be better in like 5 years. When your next contract is due, that way you can get traded to another team.
They're going to win more than what they did last season.
Which was what?
I'm going to say they're probably 3-13.
3-13. I think they're in the
probably getting about. Yeah, I was gonna say about 6 wins. I'm thinking about 5, 6 wins.
I would say if they get 6 wins and then they play some games close, that is a winning season for the Texans. Jump on to another rookie quarterback with the Indianapolis Colts, Anthony Richardson, who's been looking like a freak. He put on another 15 pounds of muscle since camp. I'm sorry, not camp, but the goodness.
Cool.
Yeah, since draft, basically, where they do the 40 and stuff like that. He's put on another 15 pounds. They said this dude is a freak of nature. Now, the biggest problem with the Colts is that the owner went ahead and needs to learn to just shut his mouth and stop flapping that thing all around when it comes to having conversations about paying running backs, when the only reason why y'all were relevant the last 2 years was because of your damn running back, even though he had a bad year last year. And then you go and say that, oh, if he wasn't here tomorrow, it wouldn't matter. We'll be fine. Like, so you basically just said you don't care about your employee. What do we think of the Colts, man?
Colts are another team, just like with Washington, that I have been saying for years that needs to be sold to a new owner. I don't like their owner. I don't like Irsay. I think he is terrible he's terrible for the team. He's also terrible for the league. He sets up his quarterbacks to get injured because he doesn't like to pay for offensive line players. But I think that this rookie will have an okay season. I mean,
right off the back, I want to put him like somewhere, but I want to put them like somewhere right in between, like with the Texans. I think one of these teams will get 7 wins. I think one of these teams are possible to get 7 wins, but I don't know which one.
Funny thing about it'll probably be the Texans.
Jacksonville Jaguars.
So Jacksonville is the team I think is going to win that division. I've been talking about this man Trevor Lawrence for the last 3 seasons, and I've been in his boat with a flag. So I think he's probably going to get better and better, and he actually has gotten better and better. Last season he made a great jump, and I think this season he'll make another because they brought in another QB whisperer to help him progress. So I think they won 9 games last season. And they won 9-8. And I think this season, I'm not saying they're going to go way further past that. I'm thinking if anything, it'll either match that and still win the division, or they'll get maybe 10, maybe 11 wins.
I think they get 10 wins easy. I'm thinking more 11. I'm thinking more 11 to 12. It's not just that they brought in a new quarterback coach to help mentor Trevor as he continues to develop. And guess who they're getting this year? After he had a great performance last year at the quarterback position, Mr. Calvin Ridley, the former wide receiver for the Atlanta Falcons, who got traded to Jacksonville during the time where he got suspended for gambling. Before he got traded, before the suspension, was a top wide receiver in the NFC. He's a small, speedy guy. He reminds me of a lot of the guy from Philadelphia that made me mad last year. Who am I forgetting? Deshaun Jackson. Reminds me a lot of him. Very speedy, has good hands. He gets by any cornerback that decides to mark him, and he's been working hard, and he can't wait to get back. All right, next up, Kansas City Chiefs. 14 is a lot of wins, but if anyone's going to go in this top spot, I feel like it has to be the Chiefs.
I think digress is not the right word, because I don't think they're going to digress. They're still, potentially Super Bowl favorites. Let's be honest, regardless if I'm a Raiders fan or not, they are Super Bowl favorites. Now, the question is, will they win 14? Will they match or do better than what they did last season? That's the part where I'm not sure of. I think they might do less than 14. Yeah. But as far as Kansas City, I don't think they digress as far as the team skill. I do think as the total number of wins, they might be less than 14. But I understand why you put it 14 and 17.
Next up, Chargers. Tell me about the Chargers, bro. It's in your division. I really don't know what to think about them.
The Chargers is one of the teams where they have a really good quarterback. I like Herbert, and I hate that he is in our division. I wish he was our quarterback. Yeah. Now I wish he was our quarterback. Before, I still liked Derek Carr. I wasn't tripping. Because, when he came into the league, I think he threw for like 4,500 yards. Then he threw for 4,700 yards. Like, he has the potential to be one of the best quarterbacks in the league. But the problem is, I think there's something wrong with the hierarchy of that team.
Every year, I want to put them at this 10 and 13 mark, but I can't. I got to put them at the 7 and 9 because until they prove me otherwise, regardless of what their roster looks like, I have to put them there.
I agree with that positioning right now.
Yeah. Next up, we're going to talk about the Los Angeles Rams. Stafford needs to retire. He won his Super Bowl. He tried to have his redemption year and see what happens. He got hurt. He did come out saying earlier this week, I think it was on Tuesday, that after getting injured and not playing the rest of the season, that this is the first time that he's felt fully healthy since like 2011 or something like that, 2015, whatever it was. He says it's the healthiest that he's felt in a long, long time. But you have no run game at all. Zero, zilch, nada, none. Their defense now is riding completely on their Aaron Donald. Now that Jalen Ramsey is gone, they have a lot of holes to fill on defense. I still believe in Stafford because I still think Stafford's a good quarterback, but they have Cooper Kupp, and he's a great wide receiver. He had the Triple Crown or whatever everybody was talking about. But who else? Who else do you have?
They lost so many. Like, I'm looking at this list of all the key departures. It's mostly defense. Like, so many defensive players left this team.
Aaron Donald should have retired after the Super Bowl, like he said he wanted to.
Well, like we said before last stream, that they mortgaged so much to get that team together. You know what I'm saying? And then the season after they won the Super Bowl, that first game we televised and we did live play-by-play, and we seen the first series, and we look at Aaron Donald, and we see his freaking face on the sideline watching how pitiful his team looks.
Discouraged.
He
a
looked
guy
like
that works harder than anyone in the NFL.
In his head at that moment, you could tell he thought, I should have retired.
When I did the predictions, stuff like that, I think I did this one, like it was one of my later at night ones. Like it was like probably 2-3 in the morning, and I gave them a record between 7 and 9 and stuff like that. But I really don't think that's it.
I did see that. Yeah.
Yeah, it was late night. As I was editing the video, I was like, damn, bro, I really gave the Rams I forgot what not what they have. I forgot what they don't have, which is everybody. They're 4-6. Las Vegas Raiders. Garoppolo is Josh playing, bro?
I have no idea. I haven't heard anything about him actually playing. He already stated that he was going to skip preseason if they weren't going to, get this money situated. So, I mean, I'm not. Here's the thing: I'm not mad if he skips preseason. To be honest with you,
I mean, I'd be disappointed, but
he shouldn't have
deserves
been in
it.
preseason last year. They made it. He was the only player that played in preseason last year. The only starter.
That's right. They did. They played him every game too. They
Yeah,
made
he was
him
the
work
only
for his
starter.
spot. They were ready to cut him. That's why he's so mad. They were ready to cut
Yeah.
him during preseason. They were trying to get him off the 53.
Yes,
And then he became the
showed
whole
up.
entire offense, basically. Let's just assume he plays. Let's just do it that way. So I had them around the 4 to 6 wins category. I don't think they're high in this. I think if they get 6, that's a great season for them.
I feel like I know
probably
you
put
put them
them
there, but
there.
I feel like if you're gonna put Denver in 7-9, I'm putting Raiders 7-9. There's no way I think Denver outplays Raiders that
Really,
much.
really, you think so?
Yeah. And I don't care if Sean Payton's there or not.
All right. Well, since I let you deal with mine, I'm putting him at the 4 and 6. But that's fair. I mean, next up is Miami Dolphins. Boogie says that Miami Dolphins are Super Bowl contenders with Tua healthy. What do you think of that?
Wait, what?
Boogie McFarlane said that
Oh, I don't listen to that.
the
Dude.
Dolphins are championship contenders with Tua healthy.
No, they're not.
No. Where do we put the Dolphins? What are your thoughts?
Well, I mean, the Dolphins last season, they won, what was it? Let me see. They won 9 games. And I know part 2 was out because of injuries.
Yep.
I am personally nervous because I don't know if Tua finishes the season. And I don't hate Tua. I don't hate Tua. I'm not a big fan of his, but I did see the progression in his game.
I think he's average to above average. I don't think he's a crappy quarterback. I think he's a starter in the league.
Yeah.
I think he's a top 15 quarterback. I think he's right there, right at 15.
I mean, the real issue is he's right now in the Steve Young situation. One more actual concussion, he's done.
So, and saying all that, where do you have him?
I'll be generous and just based off him being healthy and say I'll give him the 10 to 13.
Next up, we got Minnesota Vikings. Back in this weird division with Green Bay and Detroit. I mean, I think this is the debate of where do we see them between here. I think they're better than the Bears. I think they have the best odds to win the division again, but I think Detroit can be the sneaky one to take it. They lost Adam Thielen, which is fine. They had the other wide receiver that started to shine out. I'm forgetting his name now. Even without Dalvin Cook, I think Madison is kind of a good interchangeable player. He's played for Dalvin Cook when he's been hurt, and he has played well. Kirk Cousins, coming off the quarterback show where people are finally starting to give him his respect a little bit. But can he win the big ones? That is something that we haven't seen yet.
Vikings went 13-4. It was almost like a quiet 13-4 because no one expected it to happen. But when they got there, no one expected them to go further than what they really did. And I don't know if they're going to win 13 again because I do feel like the division has gotten better. The league, for the most part, most teams have gradually got better. But I'm going to say I'm going to be generous. I'm going to give them a 10-13, but I'm only thinking like 10, maybe 10 wins.
Patriots. Juju Smith-Schuster, wide receiver. Mac Jones. Does it make a difference?
Mike Gesicki, a tight end.
Gesicki did get picked up, huh? I forgot about that.
Yeah.
And with Henry too? Is Henry still there? I believe so.
Yeah.
Watched a couple of videos and people were like dogging on people saying that they were getting under 7 wins. They think they have like 9 to 10 wins in their system. I don't see it, bro. I think they're last in the division this year.
Oh yeah.
Jets, Dolphins, and Bills. I feel like arguing about this. People that want to argue that the Patriots are better than 4 to 6 wins, I think you're delusional. And like I'm a Saints fan, I'm delusional. I think you're delusional. All right, so Saints. All right, give me your spiel first, and then I'll say what I gotta say.
Well, like I said, like I was telling you before, I think the Saints have good potential, have high potential. I'm curious as how the offensive coordinator Carmichael is going to do this season with Derek Carr at the helm. I hope that he learns from his past season mistakes, and because Sean Payton's not there to correct him when he's making his mistakes, so it's really all on him. Dennis Allen is not a offensive coordinator; he's a defensive coordinator, and he's a damn good one. So I think your defense is going to be good. The offense, I think, in the first 4 games, I think it's going to be shaky. But I think it will correct itself over time, and I do believe you guys will have a good season. Let me see, last season you guys won 7. I'm going to put you in the 7-9 range, but I'm thinking 9, possibly 10, to be honest. But I'll say 7-9 is being generous.
We got the Giants with Daniel Jones, Saquon Barkley finally signed, Sterling Shepard re-signed. Offensive line is still kind of trash, but the one thing that Daniel Jones did last year was play with a lot of heart, and he didn't make excuses. He just tried to go out there and win games, which is something that I respect. Where do you have the Giants?
I think they have the same. They'll probably be at the same total they had last season, or like a game or 2 underneath. Yeah,
you think a game or 2 underneath too?
It just depends. It just depends.
Next up, New York Jets. We got Aaron Rodgers. We got McCole Hardman. We got Garrett Wilson. I think got hurt. I'm not sure what his injury report is. They got a couple different running backs that they're working with. The rookie I think they traded for somebody as well. Defense was stout last year. Coaching from Saleh has been great. They're looking to make a splash. I mean, how long has it been since the Jets made the playoffs? It's been a while.
It's been a minute. Since the 1st of August, they have a few players that are out. Dwayne Brown is currently out. Chaz Surratt, who's a linebacker, he's questionable. He's currently out. Malik Hall, linebacker, is currently out on injured reserve. Hamza Nasruddin is currently out, linebacker. Yadni Kajusti is out, offensive tackle, currently out. Sauce Gardner, currently out, and Garrett Wilson, receiver, currently out. Ankle, hamstring, undisclosed, neck, undisclosed, and then everybody they didn't tell them they didn't say what the other injuries are.
It's always hard to tell until like the actual week 1 when they give a true report, because they just aren't going to practice because it's just not worth it. But it is interesting going into it. Yeah. I mean, if everybody's healthy, I mean, what do we think about the Jets this year?
I would say. I mean, last season they won, what was it, 7 games.
7.
And that's with uncertainty at the quarterback position. That's with injuries at the running back position, injury at the wide receiver position, injury at the quarterback position. So I say they're a 9 or 10 win team.
I'm trying to think if I decide that if I think they can be better than the Dolphins. Either Dolphins are getting 9 wins or the Jets are getting 10 wins. Like, I don't think they can all be there, because I think the Bills are going to be up in that 10 to 13 spot.
Comfortable, I'll put them at the 9-win range.
Yeah. Next up, reigning Super Bowl contenders, Philadelphia Eagles. They lost a lot of players, but also improved in a lot of spots that they lost. They went ahead and grabbed DeAndre Swift. They no longer have Miles Sanders. They're working with the other 2 running backs that they had on their squad previously. Still with A.J. Brown and the Slim Reaper that they got from Alabama, who's fully healthy again and making some phenomenal catches in camp. They had some NFL rule changes, which they'll adjust to. Where we have the former Super Bowl contenders, man?
Well, they, just like the Chiefs, ended the season with 14-3 win, 14-3 record. Like I said, I think they're still going to have a good season. I feel like the same thing I said about the Chiefs. I'm looking at 11, possibly 12 wins for them.
Yeah,
I want to see them do good. I want to see them win a Super Bowl.
Me too. I really like Jalen Hurts, man. Next team up is going to be the Pittsburgh Steelers. Kenny Pickens is again doing some crazy stuff at the wide receiver position. Dejounte Johnson's looking healthy, looking really good. Najee, my dog kept calling him Marshall because of the Pelicans, but Najee been doing his thing at the running back position. He got injured last year. Assume he's going to be back healthy this year. What do we think about the Steelers? They still have a really good defense. They're in division with the Bengals, Ravens, and Browns. I think they're better than the Browns.
I mean, Pickett did end the season off really well. He had probably, I think, the last 6 to 7 games, even though they didn't win them all, he still did well. He was a
Very
top
well.
5. He was a top 15 in passer rating. He was 7th lowest turnover ratio in the last part of the season.
That's really good.
He did really well. And of course, they won 9 games, right?
Yeah.
I'm still at about the same number for them. Like I don't
see
them
I don't
bananas with it.
yeah, they're not going up high much higher. They may get 10, but they may get 8. You know, like that's kind of how I see it. I think they float in between there. Next up, Seattle Seahawks, Geno Smith, Metcalf, got Walker, who should be back healthy, which was dominant when he was healthy. Decent defense. Where are we looking at? Where are we looking at Seattle?
I think they sweep the Rams.
Yep.
And possibly sweep the Cardinals.
Yep. So that's 4.
I think they will be second in the division behind the Niners because for whatever reason, Niners, no matter who's at the rim, always wins.
I think they split with Niners. I think they go, so it's 5.
I do agree with you on that.
It's where they go with the rest of the division. They don't have a crazy tough schedule. Their opening weeks are kind of weird. Like I believe they play Ravens. I believe they play Cincy.
They start with Rams, Lions, Panthers,
play Lions, yeah,
Giants, Bengals, Cardinals, Browns. Their first 6 or 7 games, they can look pretty good.
It's hard. Yeah.
They can look pretty good though.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying. I'm gonna say 9. I'm gonna say 9 wins. And you know what? I am not mad at where you put them.
Next up, 49ers. We just talked about, the thing with 49ers is like a part of me really just as we watch the games in a way that Shanahan coaches that team, it's so excellent. Like they got a top running back. They got Brandon Ayuk. They got Deebo Samuels. They got Mr. Irrelevant that played really well. Behind him, they still have their number 3 overall pick that they grabbed a couple years back that just hasn't panned out the right way. Their defense is solid. It helps them win games. They make football look easy. They play old school football in a new school football league, and they still win games, which is the craziest part about it. And I don't want to say 14 to 17 wins, but it's hard for me to say they get under 10. But at the same time, you look at a second-year quarterback like Purdy that didn't do anything excellent to get there. Like, let's just be honest. Yeah. It's not like he played phenomenal. It was like he won games. He was just there and didn't make mistakes. He limited mistakes. Where do you put him?
The Niners are a team where, because all the other parts of the team play at such a high clip, it's weird to say that the QB doesn't have to be All-American. He doesn't have to be the best QB in the league. He just has to do enough to get the ball where it needs to be.
Yeah.
Because they have so many talented players on offense and defense.
Yep.
It almost, I won't say it doesn't matter, but it almost doesn't matter sometimes, depending on who they play. I'm going to say, as far as their wins, I'm going to say 10 to 11.
Tampa. All right, there we go. Baker Mayfield, Kyle Trask, whoever's there, doesn't matter. They don't have Leonard Fournette anymore. I don't even know who their starting running back is, and they're in my division. That's how little I care about them, or how little I think their talent is there. Lost a bunch of their defensive pieces. Still love Chris Godwin, love Mike Evans. I think they're both very elite wide receivers in the league. But who's throwing them the ball? Neither one of them, I think, are efficient.
I don't think they'll be that great either. So I'm in the same boat as you are.
We got our Tennessee Titans, Ryan Tannehill. I think eventually at some point in the season, even, Tannehill got injured last year. That's why they brought in Malik. I think we're going to see that same thing happen. Maybe not because of injury, just trying to see where they stand as a future. Got Derrick Henry. They did get DeAndre Hopkins, which I think does make a difference. I mean, I think that brings him back towards the A.J. Brown days. He's just older and not quite as athletic anymore, but he still has some of the best hands in the league. I think the rookie they had last year, I'm forgetting his name now, wide receiver, I think he was pretty good. They dealt with a lot of injuries the last 2 years. Still were able to rack up some wins. What do we think of the Titans?
Titans are a team where they need to get rid of the story. That quarterback has to go. I don't understand. I don't understand how he still is a starting QB in the league. The deficiency of this team has always been at that QB position more than anything else on that team.
I mean, the year they won the division and they lost first round was because Tannehill threw 3 straight picks.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm going
that's
to
what kills
say
me. I think they end up being better than the Colts because they got too much crap going on. They're definitely not better than the Jags. They're better than the Texans. I mean, I think they're in the 7 to 9 range.
I mean, because you know how I am when it comes to that QB, I put them behind the Browns. That's just because that QB, man, that QB is just. I don't understand. It's a conversation that this stream is not ready to get into.
Next up, we got Washington Commanders. Commanders have improved on their defense, but they are possibly still in the work, possibly trading Chase Young, who's been injured a lot. I'm not even sure who their starting quarterback is.
I see Sam Howell. When I clicked over to the ESPN page to look at Sam Howell, it says the Washington Commanders says Sam Howell is starting QB. He has third most passing yards in ACC history.
It's North Carolina. This ain't basketball.
I know, but he has the third most passing yards in the history of that division.
Wow.
So that's not like it's. But he said, "Command." As soon as I clicked over, it says Commanders say Sam Howell was starting QB.
Okay. All right. Well, and all that being said, what's your thoughts?
Why they probably will do well this year and probably get 7 to 9 wins is because Eric Bieniemy, the offensive coordinator that left Kansas City.
But there's also been problems. Now apparently they said it all's been scratched out, but apparently there's been problems because players don't like that Bieniemy is holding them accountable and has been getting loud and rude with them, and they've came out and actually talked to him hey, we don't like the way you talk to us, type of situation. And it's
what's going to change? What's going to change is the older players are going to say, where did he come from? And they're going to say, oh, Kansas City. They're going to say, how many titles does he have? Oh, he has 4. Whatever.
They should respect him.
And then they're going to be like, you need to shut the hell up and listen.
So where you got them? Because
I still got them at the 6-7 range.
I'll put them at 7 and 9. I'm cool with that. Buffalo Bills are a team we've been putting really high, but they keep dropping the bag. We've had some issues between Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs. All that seems to be washed out. They need to work on the offensive line, and their thought that their defense was really good 2 years ago has came to life that it's not as good as what they thought, especially in the AFC. They won, 13 games last year? 14 games last year? They won a lot.
They won 13, I believe. Yeah, 13-3.
Where do we think they are this year? I mean, I still think they're a 10 and 13 win team, but I don't think they're a 14-17 win team like I thought last year.
I don't think 14 and 17, 14 or 17 wins. I don't think that. I can say 10 to 13 range. I mean, they lost some pieces. Singletary, Edmonds, McKenzie, Crowder, they lost some pieces. Tight end Sweeney, they lost some actual pieces that were actively playing last year, and were a big part of the scheme. So, and even I don't know if I know Nate, this is your team, and we've all actually rooted for this team. To win.
I'm still riding with the Bills. I hope they win, bro. I really do, but
the 13, I don't see it right now because I don't know if I can trust them to be there.
I think 11. I think 11 to 12 is kind of where I'm at.
I'm even putting them behind the Ravens.